So I guess with this, what's the general storyline, an overall kind of like a TLDR summary of what this exact DLC is bringing?
Well, in this DLC, you play as Dowd, the assassin that murders the Empress at the beginning of Corvo's story. And this, Corvo's story kind of picks up from that in prison 6 months later. This story also picks up about the same time. And so Dowd's story is happening in parallel to Corvo's story. And so this is like an alternate view of what's happening in Dunwall at the same time that Corvo's like infiltrating the office of the High Overseer and going to the Boyle party. So occasionally you hear announcements that will kind of give you an idea of what's going on in Corvo's story. But Dowd's story is a story, it's similarly a story of redemption. Except as the person who actually did kill the Empress, it's not that he's trying to, redeem his lost honor from being framed. He feels remorseful. Like, he feels like maybe I went too far. And so, he's kind of, he's dreaming about it, and it starts out with, like, this nightmare, like, reliving the experience of killing the Empress. And the outsider shows up and gives him a bad omen. He's like, your end is coming soon, and you have one chance for redemption, Delilah. And so that's all Dowd knows. Somehow Delilah is his only chance for saving himself. So in this DLC, you have to figure out who Delilah is and how that can lead to your redemption. Or you can just go really dark and kill everybody.
Or in your case, get killed by everybody.
No, I killed myself that time.
Oh. So what new gadgets does he have during this storyline?
Well, as you've seen, he has Dowd's concealed wrist bow, so he can shoot crossbow bolts from his wrist. He has an additional kind of crossbow bolt that is new, the explosive bolt. He has these things called arc mines, which are placed like spring razors, but vaporize enemies instantly. So rather than leaving a bunch of gory parts around, it's a much cleaner kill. You can also upgrade that, or you can buy an alternate version of that called the stun mine. Excuse me. Which is a non-lethal version, which obviously doesn't vaporize anybody.
That's no fun.
But it's cool because it's another non-lethal option. And then we went further with that. We made the choke dust grenade, which is it's a non-lethal grenade. It creates a cloud of noxious smoke that chokes opponents temporarily and stuns them, giving you a chance to evade and escape, or just murder them all because they're all incapacitated. That's it. We also have a couple new powers. We have Dowd's Blink, which I was telling you guys about. Freezes the world when you're not moving, so you have time to reposition and plan your next move carefully. And we have the Summon Assassin power because we want to go deep on. Dowd is like the leader of this gang of assassins, and so at any moment, at any time, he can just summon an assassin to come in and fight for him.
How big is the world for this DLC? Is it several different zones?
We have 2 completely new environments, and those environments are like multiple maps. So there's a lot of new content that we built just for the DLC. Dowd also revisits his base, which is kind of cool to like be in your base as Dowd. Like, it's like your turf, So yeah, the DLC starts at the Rothwell Slaughterhouse, which is it's like a slaughterhouse right on the shore. There's an exterior portion and an interior portion where you actually can like find whales being carved up, and a new AI type that we've added called the Rothwell Saw Butchers. And there are these butchers with these like huge mechanical saws that are like kind of tanky and devastating from the front. So like frontal assaults on these guys is not recommended. But with all of Dowd's additional powers like Choke Dust, Stun Mine, and his version of Blink, you have a lot of tools for getting around them and for dealing with them.
It seems like, particularly with the Slaughterhouse, it doesn't seem like it's necessarily the best idea to go for a full frontal assault kind of thing, and you do really want to use more stealth.
Right, because it's DLC and we are expecting most of the players have already played through Dishonored, we wanted to ratchet up the challenge a little bit more. So we intentionally made the level a little more densely populated. Their stealthing is going to be hard. Action's going to be hard. We have a new difficulty mode that we've added called Master Assassin difficulty, which unlocks only after you beat the Knife of Dunwall. So it gives you an additional way to replay the game with this new difficulty level that's a response to the people who thought very hard wasn't hard enough on Dishonored.
Jeez.
So it's basically like the one-hit kill mode. Like, you have to be really careful and play meticulously, or combat encounters resolve very quickly. But that can be really fun and really thrilling because, you know, there's just so much at stake every time you get into combat. Everything's on the line.
When does this come out? Is it April?
April 16th. Yep. On Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Steam. There's also there will be an additional DLC that follows Dad's story.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, this is like sort of like the first chapter of Dowd's story, and then we conclude his like a larger arc of his story in the second one. So in this one, this one's about like figuring out what your path to redemption is going to be, and there's like some story elements around your assassins, and then the next one is going to have like a whole bunch of new stuff. But like it will close the larger arc of Dowd's redemption tale.
Did the two ever kind of cross paths during the course of Corvo and I guess basically in the guild? I guess.
Yeah. So it's not a question I want to answer now.
Oh, is that spoilers? Oh dear.
Yeah. Something to say for later. Something we can talk about.
I understand.
But you do see Corvo in the beginning of this one when you relive the murder of the Empress. You see Corvo getting suspended, and you know, suspended so he's helpless and can't defend the Empress. You can see that from Dowd's perspective.
Do you have a favorite part of this DLC? Like something that you actually really enjoyed working on and or testing the crap out of?
Yeah, this mission is fantastic. The first mission is really, really great. I think it's a really strong opening. It's a color palette that we don't see a lot of in Dishonored. It's kind of like warmer. It's like orange, kind of dusk. And it has a setting that everyone's been really wanting to see, that we've really been wanting to develop. You know, the slaughterhouse, and you know, you can see whales and butchers, and just exploring that part of the world is really fun. And you know, meeting Lieutenant Billy Lurk, who's your second in command, is cool. And then the characters inside the slaughterhouse are interesting and have some depth. And there's several ways to resolve this mission, and they're all fun.
Nice. It's kind of interesting to watch as he's going along, and he keeps stumbling into additional potential missions or other things, other objectives to complete while he's going through and doing this.
Yeah, what we wanted to make sure that, you know, there's going to be enough to do in the DLC, and so we layered in some extra things that like didn't exist in Corvo's story. For instance, Dowd can buy favors.
Oh, nice.
So in the beginning, so every mission starts with like a store, so that Dowd can like supply for his mission. And one of the things he can do through his network of fences and the underworld is he can arrange for favors. And so some of those favors will be things like unlocking a rune in the level that you otherwise couldn't get. And sometimes it'll be things like disabling an alarm system so that you can, you know, be more covert in destroying the slaughterhouse. Oh, additionally, we have a new feature called recipes, the Granny Rags recipes. Scattered in the levels for this DLC, Granny Rags has like left a recipe that you can find, and if you can complete the recipe, she rewards you with a rune.
Oh, nice.
So it's just, you know, more excuses to traverse the space and look for things, and you know, it's like in order to get all the runes, it's just like that much more gameplay to do, so that it's not just like in and out of the level, you know, run in, kill the guy, get out. It's like there's much more to do if you want to engage it that way. If you want to just run in and kill the guy and run out, then you can do that, but you're gonna have to fight through waves of enemies to do it.
It seems like there are a bunch of different little kind of sub-areas inside of this as well. Like it's not just one big open zone. There's like little tiny sub-areas that you want to get into.
Yeah, there's like lots of nooks and crannies to explore, and that, man, that's just like our level designers and our level architects just do
Right there.
they just do a really great job making these spaces compelling and making you want to explore these spaces. And by putting all those little nooks and crannies in there, it makes it like great to hide things in there, put story things in there, notes, books, pickups, and it just makes the space that much more compelling and feel that much more real. They feel like real used spaces. That's what I like. One of the things I like about our world. Another thing that's new to the DLC that you're gonna have trouble understanding without headphones, but in Dishonored, Corvo doesn't have a voice, but Dowd's character is like fleshed out, and we had, Michael Madsen lending his voice for Dowd.
Oh, nice.
And so for this campaign, you're playing as Dowd. Therefore, we brought Michael Madsen in again, and we have first-person voicing. So
That's awesome.
Like in areas like that where you have a player like a dialogue choice, like Dowd will actually respond vocally after the player picks their choice. So and occasionally he'll comment on something that he sees in the world, or he'll talk to Billy Lurk, his lieutenant. So
what are some of the things that you wanted to put in that currently you haven't been able to, unless again that's something that is coming later or you're not able to specifically say to?
I feel like really happy with how the DLC came out because somehow we managed to get a whole lot done in very little time, and we introduced a lot of new systems and new powers. So I feel pretty happy with everything that we got in here. I'd like to go deeper on like Dowd's powers, and that's something that I think we'll have an opportunity to do on the next DLC that also features Dowd. So I don't want to give too much away about that now.
That makes sense.
But we did cram a whole lot of stuff in because, the wrist bow was a major rework to get the thing firing off of his wrist instead of off of a handheld crossbow, and we put a lot of energy into rethinking Corvo's powers to work as Dowd's powers. One thing that I think would be really great for gameplay, but unfortunately it's like a technological limitation for with the technology we used to build this game. Dynamic lights are really difficult, especially on the consoles. They're just very performance dependent, and I think that when you're building a stealth game, the more dynamic the lighting you can, the better. Is that you can shoot out lights, you can have spotlights and stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm hoping we can do more of with the next gen. Maybe we'll have a little more horsepower. We can do more of that.
Are you guys excited for the next gen that's coming up? Have you?
Totally, yeah.
I totally get that you can't say anything about what you could possibly be doing, but.
Well, I'm just excited about having more memory. One of the things on the console that really is that's one of the unique new Dowd assassinations. Another thing we've done is add several new assassinations for Dowd, so that he doesn't look like he has all the same moves as Corvo.
That next step is very.
So I think there's at least 3, and he has one in particular where he uses the wrist bow, where he grabs the guy from behind and sticks the wrist bow up to the guy's neck, and it's like he inserts the bolt into the guy's neck and then retracts it, and that will only happen if you have ammo.
Oh, that's nice.
So if you're out of ammo, you'll never see that.
It doesn't use ammo.
But it doesn't use ammo, so anyway, what I was saying is memory is something, is the reason we have to cut NPCs out of a map is because we're running out of memory, right? So having more memory means we can have more NPCs in the map, more types of NPCs, more animations, more textures, more models, more everything, right? And so the levels can be bigger without having loads in between. So memory is one of the constraints that has bound us the most in our development. So I'm really looking forward to having a lot more memory to play with.
On the tech side, how do you think that the PS4 specs, simply from a more mainstream design point, will help you a lot more than designing for the PS3?
Yeah, I mean, the memory alone is going to be huge. As it is, the PS3 and the Xbox have a fraction of the amount of memory that a modern PC does. So when the new consoles come out and they have like gigs of memory available, like that's just going to be a boon for us, because it's gonna give us a lot of energy back that we spend like getting everything to fit into memory. We spend a lot of energy optimizing and getting things to fit. We're still gonna have to do that because we're still gonna max it out, but like we won't have to make as many sacrifices to do it.
Yeah.
And then having faster CPU is always great.